So Sophie Cunningham was on her podcast talking about the new CBA, and you can kind of tell in general when Sophie Cunningham speaks on something that it kind of goes semi-viral. Why? Because even Sophie Cunningham's haters, the reason why what Sophie Cunningham says goes viral is there is probably some truth to it. Whether you agree or disagree, there is probably some truth to it. So let's take a listen to what she has said. She's talking about the meeting, and she's obviously talking about it. Let's take a listen.
This week.
And?
Negotiations are in process.
To get things moving?
And to be honest, people are like, negotiations are in process, and that not really meaning anything. It does and it doesn't. The fact that I mean this when I say this, like, the league where everyone's like, oh, the league didn't show up with a proposal. The league were wanting the players to show up with a new proposal. That's kind of where this all came down to. Is that the league were like, well, you sent us the same proposal back. It's like, we sent you a proposal, you sent a proposal back. Then we sent a counter proposal, and you guys sent the exact same proposal you originally sent. So yeah, until you actually send a counter proposal, we're not doing anything. And that is the way the league were looking at it. So everyone being like, the league didn't show up with a proposal. It's like, yeah, well, duh. We knew before the meeting that the league weren't showing up with a proposal.
Hopes of getting it moving because it has not been moving at all. Both sides are kind of getting, frustrated, but I know us players are holding our ground, so it should be interesting. At the end of the day, depending on where these negotiations go, like, if you give these players what they want, you're going to get all the best players. Therefore, you're going to win. Therefore, your ticket sales are going to be up. Everything's going to be up.
But that's what these negotiations are, is finding where that middle is. Yeah.
It sucks because it's like, how our negotiation, all that, how that's going, it's like we're the laughing stock of sports right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sophie Cunningham's the only player that will admit that, by the way. She is the only player that will admit it. Everyone's talking about this historic where women's sports are going and everything, unrivaled, yada, yada. Oh, we got people to effectively show up to a concert, which, by the way, is a huge difference between, say again, if a music artist, this is what I'll describe it to, is like, the way I'll compare it, is like, sports team, there's a big difference between a music artist that does a world tour, or not even a world tour, that does a one-off concert in one city and sells that out, versus a music artist that is has residency in Vegas and sells out every single night no matter what in Vegas, gets people to come over, or does an entire world tour and sells out every single spot on that world tour. There's a big difference, because the former is, again, anyone who has a couple of top 10 songs with affordable tickets, you could absolutely sell out an arena. However, the latter, you need to be a superstar.
I don't think that that's true, though, because you guys are in this point because things are so different than they have been. Like, the reason no one knows what the fuck to do is because the WNBA the last 3 years has been on a whole new level than it ever was, so people are confused.
Anytime
2, not 3 years.
You're in a position of leadership, yes, but just in a position to influence and empower other people. For some reason, our league doesn't do that. Everyone wants to be the star. Our commissioner right now.
Yeah, and that is ironic about it, is that by the way, that is everybody. That's not a shot at the players. It's the commissioner as well. Kathy Engelbert wants to be the star as well. Kathy Engelbert doesn't like Caitlin Clark because she thinks that she deserves all the credit that Caitlin Clark's getting. She doesn't like Caitlin Clark because she thinks she made Caitlin Clark. Even though what Caitlin Clark was there was a phenomenon when women's college basketball was huge, but the fans never followed players to the WNBA. Why they never followed the players was because the players never really played as rookies. There was all this young players don't play. There was this reputation. So we've seen it with the old WNBA coaches, your Noelle Quinns of the world, who just didn't play Malonga. She didn't play, who was probably her third best player till about a month ago in the season, and only did that because of injuries. She benched one of her best players because of the whole, young players aren't ready for the WNBA. So she didn't play Nika Mule for a year, when worst case scenario, she could have been something. But it was just one of those things where it was you had that, and it's just the way the old WNBA attitude was. Is the reason why college players, other than Stewie or Aja or Fee to an extent, the best of the best. It was the best of the best. Otherwise, that was it.
even though we're not agreeing on negotiations or we're barely even talking at all, like she could still go on other social media platforms and like be like, hey, I believe in our product. I love our product, because that gives off a different feel than just not saying anything and acting like we don't exist.
Like, I'm going to be honest, and this is one thing I'll knock Sophie Cunningham on. Anything Cathy Engelbert says positively will get quoted by WNBPA, and like, there's a reason why Adam Silver is shut the fuck up. The WNBPA will post "we call BS" some bullshit on social media, and it'll just be an annoyance. Cathy Engelbert, the DPA, have actively encouraged fans to send angry emails to her. Like, I would love to blame Cathy Engelbert for that. I don't blame Cathy Engelbert for that one bit. Man, I hate Cathy when the players are constantly trashing her publicly. I'm not sure I'd be out like that. I actually agree with that. The replies are saying, at this point, I don't care about WNBA. Let's get Unrivaled cracking and be that. They shouldn't be playing for crumbs and scraps. By the way, just letting you guys know, the average contract Unrivaled, if they scale it up, is going to be 5 figures. If Unrivaled scales up to being a proper league, the average contract is going to be 5 figures. Players will get paid 5x more to play in the WNBA than Unrivaled. Unrivaled's not a good alternative. It is actually not a good alternative at all, because nobody is going to be realizes that the TV deal is not going to get re-upped. Networks don't pay tens of millions of dollars out of charity. They don't. The TV deal is not going to get re-upped. And that TV deal is a lot of their money. I understand, again, they have the benefit of, all the sponsors. And yes, absolutely, by the way, sponsorships, people will sponsor these and people will invest. No one invests in a league out of charity. People absolutely sponsor these leagues out of charity. That is, I know so many people, like, again, I'm involved in Irish basketball. I know so many companies that gain nothing really out of their sponsorships with teams, but like, there's just a local team. Let's just go and sponsor the local team. We have a bit of advertising budget. Let's just go and do that. And people will be like, we have a little bit of advertising budget towards women's sports. Let's just throw money there. So Unrivaled could have 0 viewers. They won't have 0, but they could have 0, hypothetically, and they would still get sponsorships. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about that. And Unrivaled are very, very good, and they're very active at getting sponsorships. That is the best thing they've done. The best thing Unrivaled have done is get investors, and get sponsors. Like, that is, if you're asking me what the actual best thing Unrivaled have done, that is it. I know a lot of people they want to say, like, Unrivaled, they need the viewership. And absolutely, if they want to, like, long-term succeed, they need viewership. And if they want to scale up to players making millions of dollars, which the WNBA are currently offering. Like, it is about 10 years before Unrivaled, and that is with success, before Unrivaled are able to reach the money that the WNBA have offered right now. And that is best case scenario on average, because for the Unrivaled to reach that, what they have to do is they realistically have to go and put in or give a lot of, or add in a lot more players. Like, you need minimum 100 players. You need to go 5v5. You need a minimum 120 players. You need 10 teams. But let's say 8 teams of 12. So you need 100 players. You need minimum 100 players. And again, 100 players puts you in position where if players are going to make an average of 100,000 each, you're going to be, let's just say, again, 100, you're going to need 50 million. If players are going to make an average of like what the WNBA players are currently making, it would be one of those things where it's like you would have to have 50 million total salary cap, which is not going to happen. It's like 5 million per team. That being said, again, we're in a situation where the league would then have to go into different areas. The operating costs would be super high. I mean this when I say this, like, in the best case scenario for the entire outcome is that it's 10 years for the league to even get remotely close to what the current offer is for the WNBA, from the WNBA. And that is kind of scary. Unrivaled is not the answer. Even a Project B is not the answer, by the way, because that is I think everybody knows Project B is a tech bros idea of a sports league, and they're just pumping investment money into it, and they're willing to burn it. Project B money is going to be burnt. Everybody knows that. Everybody everyone who's seen what Project B are trying to do is it's going to be burnt. It's a travel show where they show up in different places. There is going to be certain areas where Project B is going to fill out the arenas. There's going to be some areas where there's going to be a couple of hundred people at them, depending on where they're going. Let's be real. Project B is a tech bros idea of a sports league. This is the idea of a person was at a Formula 1 event or a tennis event and thought, man, why don't we do this with team sports? People will love that. And it's you can be a travel show as individuals. You can't be a travel show as a team sports. You just can't. It's nearly impossible to do. But anyway, yeah, that is a video. Let me know what you guys think. The fact she's saying they're talking is a positive thing. And look, it does sound like she's confident it's going to happen. I think she's confident it's going to happen. But yeah, see you guys.